Time?
Out there and an insurance just about 25 years ago. I got some friends.
Oh, sure enough. All right. I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Everybody join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, very good. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
All right, very good. Everybody's present and accounted for. Next item is a consent agenda. We have 2 items of regular city council meeting minutes of the 24th of January and accounts payable. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. Gardner moves and Trester seconds. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor, I have a couple of questions, just
Yep.
more points of, when I was reading through the accounts payable, I saw the Kirk Carrier payment for $16,406. I'm assuming that is that's part of the separation agreement with the,
Yeah, the agreement was spread over three payments, right, Ken? So we negotiated.
Yeah.
I think that's the first one.
is it the first one?
Might be the second, but it's the first time I remember seeing it on there.
Okay. Thank you. Also saw Tim Erlinson Park Street driveway. Is that
Actually,
did I know what that was?
What was, say it again?
The Tim Erlinson Park Street driveway?
Madam Mayor, I know what that one's about. So that was part of the Park Street resurfacing project, and there was some driveway damage, so we had to do some repairs there.
What I had thought. Also the BOA lifts unlimited. I might have misspelled that. Install, remove buoys.
That's usually in the harbor removal. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
Install, remove buoys.
Yeah, it's a contracted service, and I think we split that with Douglas, actually.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Ken would
right,
know
that's
more
correct,
about
yeah.
that.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you
Okay.
said. Yeah, that's our agreement with them.
Thank you. One last one is the Sagatuck Fire, short-term rentals, 40,056.27. Is that a remittance back to the Township Fire District for license fees that we collect, or what is the,
We believe
just curious.
so. That's what I believe it to be.
do
Yes.
we have a definitive answer on that?
Madam Mayor, we can check into it and get
Yeah.
back.
Pretty sure that's
Okay.
what it is.
Thank you.
I'm sure that's what that is.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, just for the,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, just for the record, I'd like to note that of the 741,000 plus payments, 598,000 is for pass-through for property for taxes. I would like to mention that for the record.
I'd also like to note that we have $40,000 in attorney's fees, about 23,000 of it related to the Dune Ridge case. All right, any other comments or questions? All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Becky,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes,
Stanton.
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
all right, very good. All right, next item on your reports are staff reports. Any questions for any of the staff who are present today regarding their staff reports? You also received a report from the chief, the fire chief, monthly report for January. Any questions?
Yes, Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
Manager's Report, page 14, the Cal Lake Agreement, the last sentence, I just want to make sure, I didn't quite understand what was being said here. This is a 5-party agreement. Fleece and Vanderbrink would be placed in a difficult to highlight any deficiencies in the agreement.
Go ahead.
Wasn't quite sure what that was.
Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Yep.
So the city's working through an agreement for asset management when,
Mhm.
as it relates to water and sewer And so one of the things that's being questioned right now is if Fleece and Vanderbrink, our engineer who works for Cal Lake Sewer and Water, if they would have any conflicts negotiating the agreement between the city and representing Cal Lake Sewer and Water. So that's what that question is pointing out, or sentence.
Thank you. Also, page 14, traffic light study. The way that this is written, it leads me to believe that the city is to take action at this point.
It's up to the city, yeah. Sure is.
From the warrants that were presented by the engineers, was it about a month ago, maybe 2
Mhm.
weeks ago, something like that? Thank you. And then also on the same page, the state stewardship grant. I'm not familiar with that. If it could be, get a little bit of education on that, that'd be appreciated.
Okay, so there's two grant applications that are being sought. One is the Transportation Alternatives Program, and the other one is the State Stewardship Fund. So this comes to the state funding, and that's the one that we're after right now. And so it's a state fund. It comes through,
The Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund.
thank you, Holly.
Okay. So I wasn't familiar with it. So thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate the answer.
So,
Yep, go ahead, Holly.
Mayor,
Yep.
as far as the Dune Ridge update, I just want to say for the record that I'm concerned that they're regarding the houseboats. I know that I see that there are no bubblers down there. I know that one of the houseboats actually floated away this winter. And my concern is that the houseboats are not winterized properly. And I'm just concerned that we're going to find ourselves with some future claim of damages because they haven't been secured or properly winterized. So I just want to make a note of that.
This is the floating homes.
Floating homes, correct.
Got it.
Thank you for the clarification.
Just so we're clear, though, those barges are there in violation of the city ordinance.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Against code, also in another matter, I was happy to see that Ryan made a connection with AT&T on the other side of the state, and I'm looking forward to learning more about that and seeing where that might go. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for any of the staff present? We also have Lieutenant Ensfield in the room with us. Lieutenant Ensfield, would you like to say anything? You got any questions? Comments?
And LT, you can take off your mask so
Yep.
people can hear you at home.
From my report there, there's some developments that happened since I submitted that. Deputy Kling contacted me over the weekend. He actually is not being deployed. So that's a good thing. But in the retrospect, Deputy Visser actually turned in her 2 weeks notice. So we are going to have Connor fill in for Deputy Visser. So
Okay.
it kind of worked out. Rob broke his leg ice skating. So he's healing good. He went through surgery. Everything's good with him. So he's on track to get back here in a couple weeks, but I have somebody else filling in for him while he's off. So Jason Kreidoff has gone to days since Janelle left. He's actually got him in contact with the school, and he's been back into the school and so forth, and doing great. So
Great.
that's about it. So, but I just wanted to make sure I had those corrections in there that were, things change drastically in a week. So,
Very good.
yep.
So curious, while you're here, I mentioned this to you before, any issues with speeding up at the school?
I have not heard of anything. This time of year, I mean, unless we hear complaints of it, we haven't, well, we can surely address it. I know I've seen that we have written several citations about the snow removal cars over the last couple of weeks. So hopefully that situation is alleviated itself. I saw there was several that were written over this last weekend also again. So obviously some corrective actions, educational things have probably taken place with that. So.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Really
Lieutenant.
appreciate it. All right.
Madam Mayor, I do have one question on the planning and zoning report. Is Cindy on the call? Cindy? Okay, I can contact her separately.
All
Thank you.
right, very good. Anything else for staff reports?
One last question for Scott. I see that the Oval Beach sign, you're working with the school. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I see that you're working with the school on the Oval Beach sign. Can you give me a quick description of work that you're having them do?
Yeah, I'd love to. So we disassembled the sign that was originally assembled by the shop class. I think the wood's going to get replaced, which was cypress, I believe, which is kind of a costly wood, but it is really decay resistant. So that's getting replaced. And then there's a couple metal pieces that are going to get sandblasted and a fresh coat of paint.
Great, very good. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
All right, very good. Okay. If not, we'll move ahead. There are no agenda changes and no guest speakers. So at this time, we'll move on to public comment. We have several folks in the audience and several folks on Zoom. And we invite folks to come up, introduce yourself, please. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Hi. Hi there.
Hi, everyone. My name's Joey Andrews. I'm running for the new 38th State House District here in Southwest Michigan. New district runs from Saugatuck down to the border at New Buffalo. So it's a really exciting opportunity. For those of you here that I haven't gotten a chance to meet yet, my background, I'm an attorney and a policy analyst for the Michigan AFL-CIO. I previously worked for the Biden and Peters campaign in 2020 as their regional field director here, helping win Michigan for those campaigns in 20. And back in 2018, I ran for one of the precursor state house districts to this new one out of the St. Joe Benton Harbor area, where we ran a best case scenario for the type of gerrymander district we had, but raised about $100,000, knocked about 40,000 doors at the time. Kind of operation we're trying to bring to this campaign as well. As far as what we're focusing on combating lakeshore erosion, rising water levels, the water crisis in general that we're all kind of facing on the coastline here. Keeping local control of short-term rentals, something that I think all of our communities are currently battling with, and building a more permanent economy that isn't so tourist focused, something that locals can build a lifestyle, their families can survive off of, and that will hopefully bring friends of mine back to the area to raise their families. So those are probably our big 3 local focuses. There's obviously many issues that our state is facing that we're also really concerned with. By way of a short campaign update for all of you, we just received 2 pretty huge endorsements in the last week, one from the Southwest Michigan Building Trades and the other from former Congressman Mark Schauer. We have several other local endorsements that we'll be rolling out in short time. We also just, you guys are the first ones to hear this actually, we just cracked a fundraising milestone today. As of this afternoon, we've crossed $30,000 raised for the campaign so far this year. So we're very excited. Things are going great. A lot of enthusiasm on the ground, and would love to have the opportunity to meet with each of you over a cup of coffee sometime and talk about the local issues and the campaign. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in.
Thanks, Joe.
Very good. Other public comments? Anybody online?
Aaron.
All right. Who do we have here? Hi there. Hi, Aaron. Got your sound off.
He's frozen.
Yeah,
Frozen.
it's frozen.
Oh, shoot. Oh, he's
Hear me
not-
now.
he's moving.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Very
Good.
good. Hi.
So yeah, I'm Aaron Byler with Pinnacle Construction Group. I'm just attending the meeting to access that we talked about at the workshop. So
Okay.
I'll be available.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Mr. Fox?
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day. This relates to agenda item number 5A, which is the staff report for the fire department. And this is simply a top line of the 2 fire board meetings that have taken place since you all were together. I will make it as brief as possible. with the understanding that it will not include everything, probably. 2 meetings, 17th January and 31st of January. In the first case, the fire chief introduced his new administrative assistant, Michelle Green, who was a new hire and a new fill and a delight. The board approved $109,094.79 in accounts payable. The board approved the indemnification agreement we've talked about several times related to the development in the township. The board committee reported on new parade security procedures and requirements formulated by the fire district, the Douglas Police, and the Allegan County Sheriff's Office working together. Those are being further finalized and expect to be enacted at the next meeting, which I think is next week. The board approved the $15,704.79 acquisition costs for what is called a Lucas 3 CPR version chest compression system that's able to be employed when somebody has a heart attack, so that the chest compression takes place automatically instead of relying on an individual doing it, which ensures that it's done the right way and consistently. In closed session, the fire board reviewed the chief's performance, and subsequent to that, voted unanimously a substantial increase for the chief in light of his salary, but also competitive salaries through the area. And then, finally, in the second of those 2 meetings, in this special meeting on the 31st of January, the board approved $26,253.34 for emergency repairs to the truck 2112, which is the one that stands up real tall pumper thing that had unfortunate turbocharger issues. And that's expected to be repaired and back online. There's another backup truck online currently for that. That's it. Any other questions or comments or?
It's public comment. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Anybody else, Jamie?
Hello, I'm sorry. This is Lauren Cato, attorney for the Saugatuck Muse Condo Association.
Okay.
We thought we were going to be on the agenda this evening. I've had a hard time locating the agenda to see if we're on, so I just want to make sure that our dumpster issue is up for consideration this evening.
Yes,
12D.
it is.
12D.
12D.
Oh, great. Thank you very much.
You
Sorry
bet.
for the interruption.
Okay. Anybody else, Madam Clerk?
No, not next.
All right, very good. So we have 2 introduction of ordinances today. The first is Board of Review Alternate Member Ordinance 220214-A. Just as a reminder to anybody who's listening in, we had quite an extensive discussion about this at the workshop on Wednesday. All the items that are currently on the agenda were extensively discussed. So anything, Mr. Manager?
No,
All
nothing,
right.
Madam Mayor.
All right.
Recommendation is there.
Yep. All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve ordinance 220214-A for the adoption of Board of Review alternate members.
I'd second it.
All right. A motion by Dean and a second by Trester. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Yes. Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Chester.
Yes.
All right. Passes unanimously. The second ordinance is for the expanded outdoor dining areas. With that, turn it over to you.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. This item's on page 30 of your agenda packet, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
Discussed at your workshop meeting. I'm just going to throw out our sample motion for council, which would be, I can read it
Sure.
if it
No, I'll
pleases the council.
That's fine. I
Okay.
think everybody's read their packet. We can, in order to get this started, I'll entertain a motion in a second. Please. Yes.
Mayor, I want to make a motion to adopt ordinance amendment 220214-B to amend the code of the city of Saugatuck by adding a new section which shall be designated as section 96.33 to provide for the licensing of expanded outdoor dining areas within the city streets to protect the public health, safety, and general welfare of persons and property within the city.
Second.
All right, motion by Leo, second by Stanton. Any discussion? Kate, I know, put together a nice 1.5-page summary of the process to date. It's a good reminder of what went into this, all the efforts on the staff's part and council's part to listen to constituents and give them the opportunity to be heard. So, any questions? or
Madam
concerns?
Mayor, obviously, we've had a lot of discussion about all of this, but I think the main question that a lot of people are just wondering right now is where it's 96.33 A, where it says the owners or operators of food and beverage services. And I think we have to get to the bottom of what that exactly means. If we will allow distilleries that might have a charcuterie board with cheese and such, an ice cream shop, is that considered food and beverage? I think we just need to get to the bottom of that portion.
Well,
Anybody else?
I agree with the question I had. Typically, you would have a definition section, I think, in an ordinance that would define certain elements of these things.
Do we have enough, does the zoning administrator have enough leeway to determine if the applicant kind of meets not only the letter, but the spirit of the ordinance? Is there enough leeway there, or do we need to be more specific and have a long list, of requirements?
I think you should be very specific with this.
Okay.
Okay. I was giving this some thought over the weekend too. Could we tie this to the specific license that the establishment has? Just really being an example, could we tie it to that? Because, and again, I don't know enough about food and beverage licensing to articulate this clearly, but we could probably use that as a definition. You must hold a certain type of license to be eligible for expanded outdoor dining.
So I did some research, and distilleries are not required to have food. So if you have a Class C license, for example, you are required to have food, but distilleries have a different type of liquor license, so they're not required to have food. They can, they're not required to by the liquor laws in Michigan.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I would agree that the more specific we can be, the more better defined we can be, the easier it will be for the administrator to consider application.
I think where the council left it during the workshop was that they would have to have food service. So I don't know if that's changed since last
That was the
week.
spirit of our discussion for sure.
Yes, sir, it was food and,
I appreciate,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that we were heading toward food and not just a bowl of popcorn or, it was something more in keeping with a restaurant, frankly. I think is where we were going, but
And I appreciated what Cindy included, which were the sidewalk. But unfortunately, that ordinance actually says restaurants. It doesn't say. And that's for sidewalk service. So in what Cindy provided for us, the ordinance that relates to sidewalk cafes, the term used in that is restaurants, as opposed to beverage,
Right.
as in a distillery or an ice cream shop.
Okay.
So I was leaning towards maybe, if a distillery wanted to have sidewalk cafes, I was leaning towards that, but in our ordinance, it says restaurants. So my advice would be, hopefully, maybe the zoning board could address that portion because it's within their purview.
Yeah, go ahead.
and we also brought up during the workshop, how does the social district factor in this in terms of providing businesses that focus on liquor the opportunity to expand their footprint, if you will, by selling drinks to go. So there is that. So I'm just wondering, what do we do that's fair to everyone without recreating some of the issues that we encountered over the previous season
Just with everybody having an outdoor
and not
patio.
utilizing it fully.
Yeah, I think the Cindy could answer better than I, but at least my experience is that the social district is, you cannot consume that on someone else's premises. So
Correct.
you have to go to somewhere other than private property, I guess it's within that social district. How that plays if you come out of the serving establishment. Well, we don't have many places maybe other than a Sandbar that really doesn't have restaurants associated with their liquor license. You know,
Yeah.
other than the distilleries.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what council needs to decide is whether we're allowing parking spots to be taken up by a distillery or by an ice cream shop. And this is what we have to decide.
And I don't know if this even applies, but it could, if there was such a business came, what if it was just a takeout only food? And you would think expanded outside dining, mean you have to have some indoor dining to expand. Or what if you don't have any indoor dining, you're just strictly a, takeout?
This is the thing, and we are so blessed with these public spaces in these parks. The pop-up, not the pop-up, the social district allows people to get beverages to go and enjoy them in, this multitude of parks we have. And I think Mark makes a very good point, where's the dividing line between, the deli, here's my little picnic and my drink and I'm gonna go enjoy the park versus, I need actually to have my customers sit down so I can wait on them, bring them a meal on a plate and, not just a handheld to go kind of item. So, do we want to just be wide open or do we want to be more focused to that need?
Yeah, I think there's just sort of this tension that we're dealing with between, multiple constituent groups because, we don't want to take away parking necessarily. Also, retailers are obviously not included. And we're trying to keep the pop-up patios. We're very favorable about them. It's just, where do we really draw the line? So I guess I would maybe ask a question to Kate and say, what are other cities doing? What are, again, we are not the only folks grappling with this, and this is a work in progress, as we keep reminding ourselves. We may not get this exactly right this year, but.
Oh, I think the way we frame this is that the ordinance is pretty loose, but the policy is more specific. And if you ever want to change the policy to allow more restaurants or whatever in,
Yeah.
you can do that.
Yeah.
And that was the conversation at the workshop last week.
Right.
Was
Right.
the ordinance is by design through our attorneys is kind of loose but the policy is specific, but the policy can change pretty quickly. So if we have new ideas or new thoughts or people want to join the conversation suddenly, they can do that.
Yep.
So.
And that would be item 12G
Yeah.
later in the agenda.
Just-
Exactly right.
Maybe to bring this together just for a second, Mayor. So I think, we got to this point because, this was done in a rush for a very good reason to protect public health. We saw, I think the primary concern was some of the spots not being utilized adequately for the amount of parking that was being taken out of circulation. So perhaps we are at the point where we are going to try something that sort of lets the marketplace work and allows these business owners to make a financial decision if they want to pay, and pay upfront for, for the opportunity to use a city asset for their business. And maybe that becomes what sort of right sizes the pop-up patio. So maybe this is the first kind of iteration of it to see how things go. And I think as Holly said, it's a work in progress.
Yep.
So maybe that's where we're going as a council.
I feel comfortable with the way it's stated.
Very good.
Good.
All right. Any other questions or discussion? All right, with that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Motion to adopt.
Second,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Yes.
Preston,
Ordinance passes. All right, we have no public hearings and no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. The first is the Butler request for temporary road. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I think we still have our friend on the line here. So after our conversation last week, they submitted a new or an alternate plan to gain access to their patio construction at the Butler. And this one seems a lot better. To be quite frank. And I don't know, Madam Mayor, how would you like me to handle this? I can go about this many different ways, but this would be a recommendation that I would support to access off Butler Street, not going through the park. Happy to take any questions. And then again, Aaron's here on the call.
All right. Any questions from council? Good discussion about this the other day. Appreciate Aaron and appreciate y'all's willingness to consider option B and C. Really appreciate
Thank you.
that.
So
Questions or, yes, go ahead.
what is it? I mean, where is the access?
So you,
Laser.
yeah, see the parking spots there, Ken, running
That
north
light.
south, and there's the line that
The little white line?
comes to this, looks like to the south of,
Jamie's gonna light it up.
there we go, maybe.
you need it wider or you need me to, I'm sorry, what do you need me to do here?
Oh, just, there you go. Just point out the access
And it's page 41.
Yeah,
in your packet.
so instead of running all the way from the Singapore parking lot, 204 feet, I think it was, we're now running from the parking spots right there by the Butler. And it's all of 75 feet, I think.
Okay.
Is that right?
It's roughly a third of the
Yes.
initial size, and it avoids the large willow tree that a
correct.
number of
Yep.
residents have been concerned about.
And that's essentially on their property. It's not
Correct.
on
Just
public
right
property.
there.
Very close.
The edge of their
A
property.
little bit of
line,
ours, yeah. Yep. All right, we don't necessarily need a motion for this. This is more.
I can just take care of this administratively.
There we go.
As long as I have
I can
consensus.
support it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Very
Ryan,
much.
you're comfortable with this
Better.
compromise?
As long as you avoid that tree and stay out of the park.
Yeah.
And will you have a date certain when they will have that work completed?
We do have their construction timeline in here.
It's in there,
Uh,
okay.
Yep.
It's been updated.
Yeah.
So
accordingly?
I will,
Okay.
yep, make sure that's enforced and
Okay, yeah.
I think with this, they have a strong impetus to get it done quickly because it's gonna be right in front of their
Yep.
doorstep.
Yep.
So that makes all the sense in the world.
I think
All right.
we also need to acknowledge that they are having access to, I don't know, 2 to 4 parking spaces that are out of commission. I think it's
Sure.
worth at least noting
Mhm.
that it's not like we're not being cooperative on something. It's not unusual for someone to give a dumpster or something for a construction project. This is kind of unusual where you're actually giving up public parking for an extended period of time. So I think that's worth acknowledging and placing in the record also.
Yep, and I'll also mention that we had a pre-construction meeting with these gentlemen and they had mentioned that if there's any road damage or
That was
sidewalk
going to be my
damage.
next
that-
statement. So
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah.
They'll be responsible for
Yeah, well, there'll
returning
be a,
everything back to.
Yep.
All right.
We
will
got
there
it.
be a bond or an escrow?
We'll do something like that.
We'll let the
Their
manager
agreement.
take it from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
All right.
know what's up. Yeah, we'll have something.
All right, Aaron's smiling. This is good. Okay, very good, Aaron.
Thanks,
All
Aaron.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item we have Board of Review March alternate dates. Again, good discussion about this the other day. Anything, Mr. Manager?
No.
Pretty straightforward. This is just working with conflicting schedules, primarily on the part of our assessors. We have quite a bit of this going on at the same time, so helping them out. So
I make a motion to approve resolution 220214-A for board review to meet on the alternative starting date of March 16th, 2022.
I'll second.
All right, a motion by Gardner and a second by Dean. Any other questions, concerns, or comments?
Over the, Madam Mayor, over the years, this has probably been the most difficult board to staff or to find volunteers. Or
Yeah.
it's one that can be a little bit controversial at times, and there's a lot of big learning curve, I think, compared to some of the boards. So I'm hoping we can get someone who will step to the plate and go, because they have to go through the same training. I mean, they have to be trained and everything else, just like a standard board member. So I'm certainly in favor of that. I just hope that we can, get the appropriate people to sign up for it. So it'll be a challenge, I think, but
Got it.
we'll know till you give it a shot.
Right. Any other comments or questions? If not, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 All right, the next item is Board of Review Income and Poverty Exemption. Again, assessors took us through this extensively the other day. And the attached documentation as it is. So I'll entertain a motion. If someone needs help with a motion, I can read you what I wrote down.
Yeah, well, is it sufficient to say I move that we approve the resolution to adopt guidelines for poverty exemptions for the board of review to implement in 2022?
Perfect.
Second.
Motion by Chester, and second by Leo. Sorry, I was gonna say Lewis. Leo. Any questions or discussion? Pretty straightforward. If not, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Next up is dumpster enclosure. Here it is. All right, page 55. All right. Anything to add, Mr. Manager?
Madam Mayor, no, we have a sample motion prepared for council.
Okay. Again, talked about this quite a bit the other day, so I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, motion to approve the license agreement between the city of Saugatuck and Saugatuck Muse Condominium Association to place resident dumpsters in a location that does not interfere with the city of Saugatuck's parking space layout plan as presented and attached to the agreement and consistent with local and state laws and regulations.
Second.
All right, motion by Stanton, a second by Dean. Any further questions, comments from council? Again, this has gone through historic district approval extensively. And we've had, go ahead, Russ.
Madam Mayor, I went out and took a look at the spots. So to make sure I understand correctly, they're extending the current enclosure or they're adding another enclosure to the spot?
Adding another enclosure,
Adding
side
another
by side.
enclosure.
Adding another one.
Okay, so.
They'll match though.
Thank you. So there was a comment that was made at the workshop about the city has, I think, I don't know what word was used, but the city has given up a parking spot for, I don't know if that's even an issue at all, but there was a parking spot that the city has given to, I don't know if it's Muse or who it's been given to, but to allow this to take place.
Yeah, I raised a concern about that, Russ, and I'm not sure I have that concern anymore because according to the drawing here, the enclosures are going to be off the parking lot and they will not require for us to keep a space vacant for them to empty it. They're going to push the dumpsters out by hand. So I wasn't concerned about that.
Okay, thank you. It was brought up and I was curious as to what the history was on that.
Any other comments or questions? All right, with that, Madam, the voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Very good. Motion passes. All right, next up is Arbor Day Proclamation. Add?
No, Madam Mayor.
All right, basically, as part of our responsibilities as Tree City USA. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve proclamation number 220214-P1 as presented, proclaiming April 29th, 2022 as Arbor Day in the city of Saugatuck.
Second.
All right, motion by Leo, second by Stanton. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. All right, motion passes. Next up, special event for the market at the SCA. Mr. Manager, anything you want to add?
No,
Had some
nothing,
conversations?
nothing, Madam Mayor.
All right,
Thank
very
you.
straightforward.
Yeah.
Per our discussion the other day, these were a couple of dates that similarly happened last year when there are events that are happening in the main parking lot for the Center for the Arts, which prohibits them from being able to set up the farmer's market. So they'll move it over to the city parking lot, have it down, destructed in time for regular parking to occur during those times. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the market at SCA hosted by Saugatuck Center for the Arts with the dates of June 17th, 22, August 5th, 22, and September 23rd of 22.
Second.
All right, motion by Stanton, second by Trester. Any questions or concerns?
Madam Mayor,
Go ahead.
I know Scott Herbert had, if anybody noted in the comments, he made a very good point.
Mhm.
In consideration of blocking the city lot for 3 in-season Fridays, in the spirit of what Scott mentioned, has there been any discussion with that state to offer up their lot for free parking during that time? In the presumption that they're not going to be able to set things up in that lot? Just throwing it out there for an idea.
For which lot to open up for parking?
Well, if they're going to be using the city lot from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. on the Friday, that's the presumption is they're not going to be using the SCA lot for
Correct.
the market. Would they in turn be willing to open up their lot for
Yeah, actually,
public parking during
actually,
that time?
Russ, they're having events that prohibit them from
I-
using that space, so.
I'm still asking the question.
Yeah. I get your point.
Yeah.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Right.
So help me understand again, you want them to open up the parking?
I'm
lot,
just,
say
I'm
again?
putting an idea out there that in trade for using the city lot,
Mhm.
which is 80 some spots, I believe. Would the SCA be willing to consider using their lot for public parking during that period since they're
When they
going to
don't
use the
need
city lot?
Yeah.
Well, you mean in the future for other events?
No,
not this
just,
time,
no,
or
just city
related to
specific,
these
yeah.
days?
Just anytime
Yeah.
throughout the
You would
summer.
hope they wouldn't be making the ask if they didn't have a conflict with the use of their own parking space.
Kind of
So
sounds
you
like
would
this is
think-
just a separate topic that maybe they would be willing to open up their parking lot for summer parking at various times
When they
as a
don't have
kind
events.
of,
Yeah.
hey, thanks for letting us use the city lot and we'll let you use ours during certain timeframes when they don't have events or things going on.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's specifically to these requests is what I'm
Oh.
thinking.
Want to take that up with-
Sure, we can always make the
Yeah,
ask.
well, along those lines, is it unreasonable to ask for them to somehow, either through signage or someone standing there, notify people that want to park there to direct them up to the high school lot? I mean, otherwise, you know what it gets like. You just got people going around and around. I don't know what can be done. Maybe we can even put a sign up. We should probably have a sign there when not, when it's full anyways, directing people to school.
I think, for a future workshop, it would be in our best interest to have a robust conversation about how we're going to try to handle parking and educating people about parking opportunities.
And they're pretty creative with what they
Yeah.
do over there. So
But I
maybe
think
they
it's a
come
whole-
up with something to
Yeah,
assist in directing people up to the school.
I agree. I'm just saying, I
Not,
think it's a more holistic
front
conversation about the
yard.
whole issue and educating people about the interurban. And once again, I mean,
Yeah.
we did some work, but I think we need to talk again
Yeah.
before the summer, because I think we're going to have a lot of parking issues to deal with this summer. So I support that, and I support Ryan having the conversation.
Have that conversation.
Like-
boss.
Let me
Thank
finish
you.
my sentence. Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
support you. Very good. All
And I'm
right.
still,
I know you're
and I'm,
going.
and I'm still stuck on quid pro quo. The last time I heard that, it involved the Ukraine, so
Wow.
I'm a bit concerned.
No, it's a good point. And yeah, we'll have the conversation.
Thank you.
That's good.
That's
All right.
fair ask.
Do you have a
Fair
question regarding also a comment that was made by the Township Fire Department? regarding the licensing requirement, well, they didn't mention licensing requirements, but the inspection process for food trucks. Now, I believe it was stated somewhere that they would be having some food trucks at this event. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
That's correct.
Being new to that, well, not new to food trucks, but food trucks in the city. Is there a licensing requirement? Kind of walk me through the process. And more importantly, what I was getting out of this is what is the process to notify the township fire department of the planned truck vendors so they know what they're going to be inspecting?
Sure,
Go ahead.
Madam Mayor.
Mhm.
So when they submit this permit, and it's included in this packet that they would inspect all the food trucks.
Right.
And so that's part of the application process. So
Okay.
they're going to be notified.
Okay. Do they do so in enough time to allow the township fire department, who's
That's
typically
part of it.
busy,
Yeah.
Yes,
enough time to
that's-
get down there and,
That's
make sure
their
they
ask,
fit this
yes.
into-
There's an email from Chief Janik on
It's
that,
in
to
there.
that
Page
degree on
70.
page
Page
70.
Yeah, I read, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they put some type of a sticker or permit thing in the window once there's an inspection that's completed.
Okay. All right. With
Thank you.
that, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, next up, we have expanded outdoor dining area policy adoption.
Madam Mayor, we have a sample motion for the council on page 73 of your packet.
All right, very good. So again, we've talked about this policy for expanded outdoor dining areas in the public right of way. Basically, to create formal guidelines and procedures for handling the license of the public right of way to food and beverage service businesses. I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I would move to approve resolution number 220214-C as presented, approving the creation of the city of Saugatuck expanded outdoor dining area policy.
Second, Leo.
Motion by Trester and a second by Leo. Questions, discussion?
Just a statement from Ryan that if staff finds issues with the people applying for these food and beverage, like we got upon a definition or something, you're saying that we can fall back on this agreement, strengthen the wording for or adding, or, and you feel comfortable with that?
That's correct.
Okay.
The policy is going to be where the details are at.
Right.
So
Well,
yes.
it's a lot quicker to respond than an ordinance for sure. Just putting you on the spot.
Well, thanks. Appreciate it.
What you get paid for, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
Madam Mayor,
Thank
so
you.
would this be the point at which we talk about maybe putting a definition section into the policy specific to who's eligible and who is not eligible?
So it seemed like a good spot to do that if the council
So,
desires.
well, that was my question. We either just let it go, and then if we need to strengthen it, we do.
Correct.
Or
That's-
we be, proactive and do it. I don't know. Maybe what we need to do is get
If you,
staffs.
I don't think, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right.
My sense is you're not prepared to do that tonight as a council. So I think that you just approve this. And if we need to strengthen it, we can
Yeah.
at a future date.
Got it.
I like that.
Yeah,
Agree.
I agree.
I
It,
accept that.
it may not be an issue. I mean, there's
Right. No,
a,
it might
there's a,
not.
there's a steep fee and it's due in advance and we may be in a whole different situation this summer. So.
Agree.
One other point of clarification, we discussed on Wednesday, I think we had said that a eligible business or applicant can request just 2 months of that April 1st to November 30th in
Correct.
season.
Yep.
So those months have to be contiguous. Can they pick and choose? Can they say, I'm gonna do it May and June or June and August, or does it matter? I'm just,
Go ahead.
Staff would recommend against that.
yeah, I would too. I'm
Contiguous.
asking.
Yeah, so it'd be contiguous.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid the monthly rent collection.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Hmm?
So they have to decide when they apply, which months they're gonna be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. And Cindy will help them through that process. Very good. All right. If not, this is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk.
Second,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Yes.
Leo.
Yes.
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 All right, very good. Item H, expanded outdoor dining area schedule of fee adoption. Anything to add?
No, Madam Mayor, the motion is provided on page 79 of your packet.
Basically, as discussed on Wednesday, attaching a fee with the process. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, motion to approve resolution number 220214-D as presented, approving a change in the city schedule of fees.
I'll second.
Second by Dean. Any other questions? Go
I
ahead.
do have a question. We had talked last time that we were going to require the participants to pony up all the money at the beginning of the season, but your point number 1, after therefore be resolved, that says the city hereby approves a change in the fees as follows. The license, which is a monthly fee. Actually, I mean, I was in favor of allowing the restaurants to make multiple payments so they didn't have to kick in all the money at once. It would seem to me, though, this implies they're going to pay on a monthly basis. I wouldn't mind that, but maybe the staff would have a problem with it.
I know we talked about this, it being rather difficult for them. And I remember it being a time consumption process to be
Right,
going
right.
about billing.
Is there a middle ground, like you can pay in 2 installments or something like that?
That would be up to council. I think our attorneys would advise against that, just given the staff time and the time spent approving these licensures or the ordinance, we would want it all up front.
Yeah, that was also the other discussion about fee in lieu of service that we had, making sure that folks
Yeah.
are paying up front in total for what they were getting. what
I
they were
think
asking
Kate
for.
told us that the attorney advised her to do it in this
Yes,
way.
correct.
Correct.
Okay.
That is
I know.
absolutely correct.
No, that's.
I don't know why an attorney would
Yeah.
worry about that.
It has to do with fee in lieu of parking.
Pay to play, baby.
So, yeah.
So, Madam Mayor, I understand where you're coming from, Ken. Maybe there's a different way to word this, which is a fee as opposed to a monthly fee, because if I read that, I was, okay, I'll be paying monthly. So I understand I understand you're concerned about the wording. I don't know if there's a different way to, and I had something ideal to come to mind, now I've lost it.
Again,
Which is
Well, I mean, rather
per
than
month fee. which is a-
complicate that tonight,
something,
maybe
yeah.
we can go ahead with this and
Yeah.
implement it by policy or something.
I believe I saw it more specific about paid up front along with the application and perhaps it was the ordinance or.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's there some, yeah.
Okay. For the time being, our attorneys have approved this as it is. So we can go ahead and approve this if you're so inclined, and then if they can ask if there's perhaps a different way to word it.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or concerns? All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 All right, motion passes. Thank you all very much. That was a heavy agenda and heavy discussion. Appreciate it. All right, we've arrived at public comments. Anyone is welcome to approach and address the council on any item. Please introduce yourself and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Anybody? All right. Hi, Christine.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Once again, I just want to address the fee matter in regards to paying upfront. I know we have to pay to play, as I was just told, but I'm running a business. I'm not playing something. So if there was a way to, Ken said, half down now, half down later. I mean, I guess my question too was how much time consuming it is to keep a spreadsheet and just check it off when people have paid. I don't know. I guess that I keep hearing the word that there's not time to do it. So that's my 3 minutes. That's my 2 cents. So that's all. I mean, obviously I'm going to sell that kidney to make sure I have my pop-up patio. But in the same sense, I would just like some kind of, better clarification than, you pay to play or whatever. I mean, that kind of thing. It's an investment. We're all making investments in this town, trying to do better, trying to make things nice. So I totally understand there's a fee. I was up for the fee from day one. Just was looking for a little bit more relief in the front end and not the back, not right up front. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Christine. Anybody else, Madam Clerk? All right, very good. With that, we have items in communication that are included in your packet. Boards and commissions and committee reports. I saw that Mark provided us with a very detailed Cal Lake report.
Yeah, if I may just make a
Go
couple
ahead.
brief comments,
Yep.
since I missed the last meeting and we shortly went after our January meeting, I thought it would be interesting for council just to see the kind of detailed report that we get each month at Cal Lake. We did, especially when there's no action items that we have to take. Any questions on this, I'll try to answer them. Just as an update, Wednesday morning, we have our budget workshop. Cal Lake's fiscal year runs from March 1 to February 28 or 29, depending on the leap year thing. So we'll have a budget workshop Wednesday, followed a week later by an actual meeting where we approve that budget. Any rate adjustments, if the board decides to proceed with adjusted rates for sewer and water, will also be part of the budget process and approved at the regular meeting that's scheduled for a week from Wednesday. So that's about it.
Very
All right,
good.
thank you.
Ken, anything from the Harbor Authority? Have they met recently? Harbor Authority?
No, not recently.
No?
Yeah, I don't think we've met
All right,
in the last
very
couple of
good.
months.
Holly, anything from non-motorized? Lauren?
No, just what was in the agenda. We're just diligently working on our DNR trust fund application, which coordinates with the TAP. Lauren,
Yeah,
anything?
historic didn't meet, so next
Okay.
meeting in March.
All right. And planning commission, I know you guys are getting ready to go to do a lengthy training.
Begins tomorrow night, 6 to 9 PM for 6 weeks.
Yes, indeed. It's
So-
good, though. It's good.
It's good materials and we've gotten our workbooks. So I want to thank Cindy for getting that out to us and yeah. So 6 to 9 on Tuesday nights for the next 6 weeks, you'll know where I'll be.
All right.
Thanks for your commitment. That's a
You're-
lot.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Do we compensate them as regular meetings for the time commitment?
We'll talk about that.
We haven't in the past. I mean, we paid for the registration, but we certainly haven't in the past.
Well, leave her alone.
It's comprehensive and I look forward to it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. All right. Any council
Cocktails at
comments?
the
We'll start with
chamber.
Ken. Anything? Mark?
Uh,
Comments?
Would council like to see this on a monthly basis? It'd be very easy for us to
I like it.
provide that.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, for that matter, we could provide you, I could just email the packet, or we could have Cal Lake email the meeting packet right to Jamie and she could just forward it all.
Great.
Yeah, I
We
think
don't
it's
have any
great because
problem
then,
doing
it's,
that.
it's posted, folks can read it as
It's
well.
all, yeah, it's all open meeting stuff.
It's good for constituents.
Yeah.
There are people that sure want to.
Well, I think a lot of people have no idea what goes on out there, to be perfectly honest. They say, what are those guys doing riding around these trucks all day? What else? They don't
Yeah.
check or anything, but there's a lot that goes on. I'm sure Scott under.
It's a piece of infrastructure that's out of sight, out of mind, which is a shame because that's a lot of the issues the state is dealing with there because municipalities and residents don't have line of sight to actually how important this infrastructure that is our sewer and water system is.
Right.
And the costs that are associated with just relatively, I don't want to say minor repairs, but repairs that you might not think, a lot about, but. And just looking at our electric bills, which are $25,000 a month, we just pay consumers, and which is quite a bit more than that. Did this one say how many gallons were pumped in this report? Give the gallons of water, what the biggest, the number, the largest gallons pumped on a single day last summer? Didn't see it. It was actually in June. You think it would have been in a different date, but it was about 2.5 million gallons of water in one day. So that means the reservoir had to,
Yeah.
and that's supplied by 5 wells spread throughout the
Yeah,
community.
I mean, you think having the internet down or not being able to have cell service would be a problem in town. Imagine not having water.
Yeah.
So every time you flip that tap, raise a glass.
That's right.
Say thank you.
Now, one thing I mentioned one thing, I think everybody got every user got a letter explanation on the difference, changes in the billing options. You'll see now when you send a bill, it goes to a lockbox in Detroit. That was implemented basically because of COVID, because there was no reliability on staff. And what happens with the cash flow if bills come in, and we had staff that weren't in the office. So the staff out there, investigated several options. And as you can see in that letter y'all got, but that was I think that might have been mentioned in there a little bit. But so there's like 4 different ways you can pay your bills. So a lot of people still drive out there, put on their mask, pay their water bill.
I have done that.
Holly, anything? Council comments?
Not at this time, thank you.
Lauren? Russ?
Yeah, a few. Thank you very much. I just want to say thanks to Ryan, Scott, Herbert, Jamie, Kate, Peter, and Cindy, the folks responsible for putting together our materials and making sure this thing runs as smoothly as it does. It's a lot of effort, and I am personally grateful for you making my job as an elected council member easier. So thank you. And for anybody that's on the call that maybe I mentioned, thank you very much. Thank you. The other comment or other question is the township cemetery agreement. I know we made our payment. Have we gotten any further with, I know they had some change in leadership and that might have impacted this.
We check into that. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Thank you. Also too, there's an interesting, speaking of Scott, there's a very interesting back and forth with a member of our community regarding using pet safe ice melt. And I personally would love to see the city switch over to a pet safe ice melt. I know it's not cheap, but as many people as I see out walking their dogs, and myself included, I really think it does make a difference for people to know that they can walk their child. Well, and it affects humans too, but mostly pets. So I just would encourage us to think about that as a city. It's a good thing to do. Also just want to mention too, it's been great spending some one-on-one time with everybody on council for the last week or so. For those that don't already cross over in other work groups, sharing thoughts and ideas, and Holly, I'm sure you and I will connect soon. So I have found the time valuable, and I want to thank you very much for spending time with me. Thank you. That's it.
Well, I'd like to thank every member of the council and city staff for being my date for Valentine's Day. It will be one I won't forget soon.
So
thank you.
romantic.
Thank you for being my Valentine.
All right. Yep, and with that, I'll entertain, I have no mayor
I can't match
comments.
that.
I can follow that.
I'll entertain a
That's a
motion to
first.
adjourn.
That's right.
So moved.
Second.
What, you want
All
this
right,
to
all in
end?
favor? Say aye. I
That's
know.
a first.
I did think about